If the Chinese are the second largest producers of silver in the world and have been net exporters, what is the significance of them now not exporting any, becoming net importers and flying around the world and buying up unrefined silver at twice the cost of what everyone else will pay? What are those consequences? What is the consequence of them having the price in Shanghai for silver $4 higher than the West, attracting arbitrage? What are all the ramifications of all this? Or do you just think it's in a vacuum and it doesn't matter? You put all of these things together and take a step back and say, I bet they think the prices could go to the moon, along with the Indians who have bought 700 million ounces of silver in the last 3 years, which doesn't even account the silver that they bought from the UAE or somewhere in that neighborhood. They look at silver as being wholly important, far more important than we do.
In 2023, China reportedly had a silver reserve of 71,000 metric tons, second only to the silver-producing powerhouse country of Peru, which boasted 98,000 metric tons in reserve. In addition to its gold hoarding, China has also been strategically increasing its silver reserves. The Shanghai Metals Exchange has seen a significant surge in silver trading volume, with prices consistently higher than those on Western exchanges. This suggests that China may deliberately drive up the price of silver to drain the West's resources. Renowned analyst and Miles Franklin CEO AndySchectman confirms that premiums on bars have increased. He also questions the idea that industrials are melting down bars, stating that he hasn't seen any evidence of this, but noting that China's recent actions, including buying unrefined silver, are significant. China has quietly accumulated vast quantities of gold and silver through calculated moves. This move has signaled a potential shift in the global economic landscape and highlights the developing country's need for exorbitant resources. Based on fundamentals, Andy stresses that these actions, particularly by countries like China and India, suggest that they see silver as far more valuable than many in the West do. Under the CPA, silver from UAE could enter India at 8% duty if it had a 3% value addition in the exporting country. This led to a surge in silver imports to $1.74 billion in 2023 and 2024 from $29.2 million in 2022 and 2023. According to Andy, people will wake up to a new reality where silver prices are much higher due to significant industrial demand outstripping investment demand. He suggests that a major event, possibly before the election, could reignite U.S. investment demand, altering market dynamics. Now, we present the clips of AndySchectman's insights from his recent interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
Yeah, I have seen premiums on bars go higher. That is true. I can't speak to the melting down of retail products to meet industrial demand. I haven't heard that. Ultimately, wouldn't surprise me. When you see things like China being the second largest producer of silver in the world and has now shifted to a net importer. They were always exporting silver largely because of their byproduct availability. They had so much in terms of their smelting and the byproduct of other metals that they had the ability to export. They're now net importers. You put that in context with what Vince was talking about on them flying around to the Latin American companies buying all their doré and their silver concentrate at a much higher price in the West and refining it back home. These are things that will happen. You can see that supply is becoming much more difficult. And the reason it will catch everyone by surprise, Chris, is because this is all being done in a way that people don't see. If we have to be melting things down to appease industrial demand, if the Chinese, who were net exporters, are now net importers as the second largest producer in the world, if they're going around and buying unrefined silver, none of this ends up on the TV screen. None of this ends up on people's radar. God bless guys like you and Vince who help bring this all, to the public, the small subsection of America that's paying attention. But this is why one of these days you wake up and it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new reality. Prices are far higher because the industrial demand is far greater than would be the investment demand in what represents a very small cross section of America. Now, maybe something happens over the next several months leading up to the election, and I hope not, but I have a hard time believing something won't that will wake people up in a way to where they maybe look to silver. And you reignite the investment demand in this country, and well, maybe all bets are off. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, first of all, to your question, Yes, I'm seeing premiums go up on bars. Not so much on the sovereign mint coins yet, but the bars have gone up a bit. I have no proof to say that industrials are buying and melting down bars. I'm not sure where he heard that. I haven't seen it, but I do think all of these things put in context with what Vince has been talking about, what the Chinese are doing net importing, not exporting, and buying up unrefined silver, because part of the reason they buy up all the concentrate and unrefined silver, it allows them to accumulate tremendous amounts, even if the cost is uneconomical in relation to what the market bears. They don't care because they know where it's going, and they refine it back at home, pulling it out of a supply source that doesn't affect the price. It's not coming off of an exchange, and so no one knows what it's. There is no effect on the ultimate price yet. So yeah, I think these are the crumbs, if you will, that are laid at our feet. And either you open your eyes and believe it or you don't. That's all there is to it. You can lead a horse to water. As far as I'm concerned, these types of crumbs are very, very, very relevant and very important, because the people at that level are making moves long before it filters on down to Joe and Jane six pack who are buying silver eagles or silver rounds and thinking that all is fine. There's tremendous supply, premiums are low. It's been that way for 6 months, and you get the little boy who cries wolf over here, me, saying that will end. Well, it's easy for people to poo-poo that and dismiss it as a guy who sells metal, but I'm telling you, as God is my witness, these are the kind of things that I've seen over the last 4 years that have led me to making the calls that I have on things like the bricks, because you can see them if you pay attention. And these things don't happen in a vacuum.
In a speech on Friday, Harris highlighted the surging cost of groceries, which have jumped 25% since January 2020, while noting that some food companies are at the same time enjoying record profits. Certain types of foods have seen even sharper spikes, with Harris pointing out a loaf of bread is now about 50% more expensive than prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. In his analysis, AndySchectman criticizes Kamala Harris for misunderstanding inflation, blaming rising prices instead of the true cause. He predicts that such mismanagement will lead to negative consequences, highlighting the government's irresponsible fiscal policies as the real culprits behind inflation. Specifically, Harris said she wants to target businesses that aren't playing by the rules by illegally hiking prices. She also noted that ensuring competition in the industry is essential to bringing down grocery costs for Americans. Consequently, Andy concludes that Milton Friedman, with his deep understanding of free markets and economic principles, would have made a far better leader than those currently in power, who continue to create unintended economic distortions through misguided policies. Let's get back to the interview.
The problem here is that she just doesn't understand what the hell she's talking about, in the respect that she's stepping on the gas of inflation, and at the same time, instead of blaming the real cause of inflation, which, as Milton Friedman would have said if we kept playing, I'm sure somewhere in those videos he would say that each and every time inflation is a monetary event, period, meaning it is an increase in the money supply. What she is doing is showing how stupid she is by blaming the effect of inflation on inflation. In other words, it is the increase or the inflating of the money supply that creates inflation. And that is each and every time, as he says, a monetary event. It is not greedy. And she doesn't even know how to say it. She said it last night, price gauging. It's price gouging, and they're not gouging anything. The cost for farmers to produce the food has gone up. All of the inputs, the diesel fuel to run the combines, the cost of seed, the cost of fertilizer, most of which comes from Russia, all of the inputs cost more. And so it costs the farmer more, it costs the trucking companies more, it costs the flour mills more, it costs everyone more, it costs more money for packaging. She's blaming shrinkflation that's coming out of the manufacturers and the producers on the grocery stores. It's gross, it's stupid, and it goes to show how dumb she is and how dumb the public is. The consumer price index is not a measurement of inflation. It's a poor one. It's a measurement of rising price inflation. Measurement of inflation would have been M3, which they got rid of a long time ago, which was the broadest measure of the money supply. They cited it as being archaic number no one looked at. Yeah, right. So if we don't know how much money is being pumped into the system or inflating the money supply, then we really don't understand inflation as well. There can be other factors that lead into price inflation, such as the supply chain issue. Suffice it to say, this will end poorly. And when you cap prices, you disincentivize the producers to produce. If you have a product that you're bringing to the market and it's capped, well, if the cost to bring that product to the market is such that you make no profit or such a small profit that it's not worth the headache, you'll just stop doing it. And that's what happens. It leads to empty grocery store shelves. When you intervene in the free market enterprise system that she wants to do here, you just create other distortions. But none of this addresses the real fact or the real problem. And the real problem is that we're creating $100,000 of debt per second, 24/7. That is the fact. We are a country that is a junkie spending. We're like a junkie who's addicted to spending and can't get off it and won't stop no matter what. And that's the real problem. And going around and blaming the grocery store chains as being greedy is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. When you're looking at the lowest margin business that there is, and they're greedy. No, it's the government that is greedy. It is the government who has created a handout system where the continual, complete and total irresponsible fiscal policy of this government is the root cause of inflation and the monetary idiocy of the Federal Reserve. And to blame it on people like the grocery store owners is one of the most grotesque things, and really just goes to show that she's stupid and she does not know what the hell she's talking about. Maybe this is why they keep her from speaking, because when she does, she just ends up saying dumb things. And what's equally as disturbing to me, Chris, is the fact that the public is collectively naive and buys this nonsense. No one studies anymore. No one researches anymore. No one does due diligence anymore. Just take Kamala at her face value. Take her at her word. She must know what she's talking about. But in essence, Milton Friedman would have been a far better president than what we have right now, just based on his understanding of the way markets work. And when you mess with free markets, when you intervene, a la Keynesian economics instead of his way of thinking of things, Austrian economics, a system based on investment, savings, and reinvestment, you end up creating distortions that go.
Analysts warn that the growing demand for silver and limited supply could lead to a silver squeeze, similar to the one in 1980. If investors begin to panic and rush to buy silver, the price could skyrocket, causing significant disruptions to the global economy. Do you believe the strategic silver accumulation by countries like China and India will lead to a major shift in global economic dynamics? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to support our channel and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the next video.